final. Welcome back.
Yes.
The dynamic duo. Happy to actually have you bounce off a few things.
All right.
Okay, so we've only got two questions here. And as you know, I normally try and keep it quite short. But this time a little bit longer. If we take a step back, we've talked about massive investments, rapid technology change, and increasing pressure on health systems. But we see that there's no single direction in the market. And I'm talking about what we've been talking about from a technology perspective. We rely heavily on the analyst perspectives, yet there is no real mechanism to validate them over time. And even the link between investment and patient outcomes is not as clear as what we hope. At the same time, it's important to pinpoint that while some of the market players are very cautious in implementing even single one-off solutions, other than let's say some that are doing big bets. For example, UHG, talked about a radical replacement of systems through AI investments, right? And I was listening to Stephen Bartlett, as well, and one of his podcast guests that were there was talking about what is the true information that you have to actually make these decisions, and is there over-dramatization of the AI hype because it's impacting the market positively, meaning the global share market and the value of their companies without actually delivering much. And the economics don't actually come about, because if you're investing, let's say, 800 billion in whatever, in Meta, that's a lot of t-shirts that you got to sell, or a lot of cups that you got to sell, if you're trying to actually deploy some of that technology in your organization. Just like if you're going to deploy a massive platform inside your health system, that might be $50 million of your EBITDA, and you convert that $50 million of cost into EBITDA of what net patient revenue you've got to earn. It's huge, right? It's massive. You actually have to probably buy another health system to actually get that $50 million back. So the question becomes, how should supply chains leaders actually navigate this? First question. Very broad question. All this change with regards to what's actually happening out there. Give the young bucks something to actually ponder on.
How we navigate all the rapid change, all the not affecting things is the way we want it. It's a good question. I think to add to your, is the market driving some of the AI, like the whole AI bubble discussion, right? I do think that's true. I also think there's pressure on people, the media coverage of AI, right? The perception of the public even. So when you're we talked about patient satisfaction, customer satisfaction, there's an element of that's driving AI too. If you have this technology and you're doing this, there's they presume it's better, you're better. So there's that out there too, that marketing piece that's driving a lot of it. How do we navigate it? I think it gets down to really looking at what do you need to deliver on to improve your margins, deliver the quality of care you want, and get the outcomes you want for your patients, and how those align with the technologies, and then monitoring them to make sure it's delivering. It's what I said earlier, and shortening that time cycle of, you need to shorten your implementation because you have to get it implemented before things change. And then you have to analyze it. Don't wait till contract ends. Analyze it periodically throughout to say, is this delivering what we expected to with our investment, or do we need to shift dollars?
And that's also right. Correct if I'm wrong. I'm not necessarily just pointing it to your technology decisions, but every vendor that you use, that you should be questioning that it's a 3-year contract, but am I getting the value out of that contract? But the reality is, can I measure that today? Right?
Yeah. Getting better at that and pulling those tools together. And we have a lot of data. We have a lot. We don't maximize a lot of that data to do that analysis. We have patient satisfaction. We talked about in the last question. There's ways to align some of that. We're getting better at it, but there's more you can do there.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to borrow something that I heard recently that I've been borrowing because I like it. So healthcare has actually been data rich for a long time, but we're insights poor, action negligent, right? So like we have a lot of good information out there.
I think that's a good.
It's a good one, right?
Yeah,
I love it as well.
I like that.
Yeah,
one.
you put that one on me.
It's
that one
not bad, right? Tagline.
Yeah.
But I think you said something there, but like, what do you recommend to like the younger leaders? The other thing everything Jeremy said is right. I would add experiment with AI, even if it's Claude, even if it's ChatGPT, Copilot, because start building things. Because when you start building things, whether it's with data, no data, it might just be a simple workflow tool. It'll also help you then assess the market. When you start realizing, all right, I just built something very similar to this vendor that this vendor's offering, but they want to charge me X. Now you can have a very informed conversation and say, why does it cost X? And I think there's, I'm going to borrow one of my peers at Christiana's comments. He calls it the SaaS apocalypse, right? Some SaaS solutions will go away. Not all. But if they don't go away, because we also are going to run into bandwidth issues. We can't build everything. Like, can we replicate some of the big solutions that exist out there where their stock is down 50%? Yeah, probably. Now you got to make a decision on, it's going to be the insource outsource discussion, because insourcing that now is easier than ever, some of it. But I think building stuff also informs you. Like now AI isn't just some ambiguous kind of mystery discussion. Like if you're working with it, you can be a little bit more informed on like how much work is behind this, how much of this can I replicate. And then if at minimum, what it's going to do is going to create a much more competitive conversation with these SaaS vendors around, I'm paying X, am I getting that ROI?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
it does. That's a great point, because it also helps you realize there's a lot of Me Too technology out there, and a lot of, I'll say, relying on older,
legacy.
Legacy type things, or machine learning that isn't really, it's incremental, marginal improvement, not a lot, right?
Yeah.
And so you started, that isn't really worth, but there's a lot of companies that are built off of trying to maximize something that was technology that was new 5 years ago that's just obsolete, really, or borderlining obsolete now, and they're still trying to maximize returns.
And I think there's so many headlines out there, at this point in time, right? Be it UHG, or I read just recently one major health system mothballing their legacy, RCM and costing them $1.5 billion to exit the contract, right? So, that's a big call.
Yeah,
that's a big call.
That's a really big one.
So that's a great example of one, why is it so expensive to get out of that contract?
Yes.
And then how much of that could have been done by another company?
And you need to be thinking about that when you contract moving forward. Because there's going to be more and more of the need to pivot in the future.
Yep, 100%. Okay, second question. In that context, what does a truly rational investment decision even look like? That's the final question with regards to this. What is truly a rational decision based on everything that we just talked about? If you had to make it tomorrow, what does it actually look like?
I can think of one small example that it's a contrast to some of the other things we've been talking about. So, again, aligning incentives. Where do you need to help? Taking a risk that's manageable. Warehouses for supply chain, hospitals, right? If you have an offsite warehouse, we continue to struggle to hire. I hear that across different peers and other chief supply chain officers. If you have an offsite warehouse, now it's more competitive than ever, more competitive than it was 3 years ago. Is it worthwhile the investment for some robotics? Maybe not full blown, but to at least offset the pressure that we are constantly hiring, can't compete salaries because we're competing with Amazon, et cetera. So do you do a hybrid model that's slow, see if the outcome is there, and it makes sense, right? And then you stabilize your there's also evidence and data around these operations that when you invest in robotics and AI, the employee engagement scores go up.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting dynamic.
It is. But also, if you focus on, the last, few sessions that we've actually had, the sound, decision and the rationale of that decision is based on what? And so, to your point, you got to experiment. You got to give it a go because you are confronting a true business problem.
Yeah, experiment on solutions that you've analyzed, you think will pan out to deliver a solution to a core business problem that's part of your strategy that you need to address. Like that's irrational. I think there's a way to get irrational on is it going to keep delivering 5 to 10 years from now? And in the current environment, you can't look at it that way because will it deliver? But you need to be will it deliver? And then am I lined up to deliver on that? Execute on that? Like, I want that technology. A lot of people do. I want that technology, but I'm a year away from even being able to be set up to deliver on it. So then focus on that and then look at it again because that technology may not be where it needs to be and reevaluate. But you need to implement quickly, and then you need to analyze things and be looking to pivot. And you don't have to pivot. It's like what we talked about. It's always evaluating. Things are leaving. Is it this much improvement? That's not worth it. If it's this much improvement now, it's worth thinking about that switch.
Love that.
So it's constantly doing that, but it's not getting stuck in. I think a lot of people get stuck in almost the reverse of over-rationalization of what if it's 5 years from now, it doesn't have. There's almost no technology that's going to be delivering the way you think it is in 5 years from now. So we got to get that mindset. It's hard to change. It's ingrained in us and business mindset. You want to
worry.
Yeah.
It's not just worry though, right? So there's people that have made their careers based on these massive technology investments.
Which is why you got to implement them quickly and start taking advantage of it. Because if you think this window is 1 to 3 years, you need to maximize what does 1 to 3 get as much return on that as possible. Then when it starts to margin improvement starts to decrease, it's not a mistake anymore. I've got a lot of value out of it already.
Yep.
Yeah. Versus I just finally implemented it 3 years later. And now the technology passed it up and it's not even the thing anymore.
Make the best decision you can with the information you have at hand without completely risking it all, right? Don't look 5 years out. Look 2 to 3 years out. Maybe something comes out better next year, but you made the best decision you could at that time. And now you only got 2 years left on your contract, and you reevaluate again. Or you hope your current incumbent, catches up to whatever new competitive advantage someone else figured out. It's moving quickly, so be nimble, be flexible,
and use ChatGPT. No, I was kidding.
Sam Altman might like you, but
And then lean on your peers. I've been guilty to this of this, and I can imagine other peers as well. Sometimes we get excited about our vision, right, and what we believe something can do. And I've had my team push back on me and say, we don't know if the value's there. I'm like, all right, fine.
That's true.
Yeah, but it's just true. Sometimes we get excited about things. I was excited about something a year ago, and I let my team run the RFP, and they didn't think that vendor was ready. So I was like, all right, fine. I like their vision. I think I would bet on where they're going to be 5 years from now, but they're not exactly what we needed right now. So my team went the other route, and I respected it. It hurt me, but I respected it.
No, and that's aligns with if they're not aligned, you're not going to deliver on it anyway.
Exactly.
So, but I do think in connecting with your peers and understanding, because everybody their priority may be slightly different than your priorities right now, but eventually that is your priority. And if they've already learning from things that they've already gone a little further down, keeping it, that's good advice and good wise decisions to keep connected to the industry, because we're all testing things in different ways. We might be ahead in one thing and somebody else is ahead over there because their business problem is a little bit different. They need to address this thing. That is my next thing I need to, and I can learn from them, they can learn from me.
Yep. So if I summarize it with regards to what I've heard at this point in time, we've actually lived in such a transformational, let's say, era, which is going at such exponential speed. I do challenge you with regards to, let's say, 1 year, 2 years, because I think, in essence, I think it's months to year, because I think you can build from your first experiment, and then it can actually compound into something that you never actually had that experience with, because the data's different. But the conclusion that I get is listen, connect with your peers, make sure that the experience that they're having is just one thing that you're considering, but also understand how that can actually be applied across your organization by itself, because every organization is at a different stage of readiness and
100%.
acceptance.
100%.
100%.
Okay,
Yeah.
Good summary.
Yeah.
that's a wrap.
All right.
Thank you.